Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one, once again, we are filming in Japan and we're going to revisit one of my favourite craft breweries that we have over here. And this is one you've seen me review maybe 4 or 5 different beers from, so it's really cool to return to these guys after quite a little while actually, so hopefully you guys enjoyed my take on this beer. So for this one we're going to go back to the city of Ise in Mie Prefecture in the Kansai region of Japan, and we're trying another beer from Ise Kadoya brewery. So this is one that was a limited edition a little while ago, and it was kept for me by my good friend Koji at liquor shop Asahiya here in Osaka in Japan. So this one is called Summer Beach Ipa, and it comes in at 6% ABV. This one is using a relatively new hop called Summer from Australia, which is quite well known for its kind of melony sort of aromas and flavours and things like that. So very, very curious to see how this one turns out. And when it comes to Ise Kadoya, I would say that these guys are probably one of the more experimental craft breweries that you're going to find. And it's really cool to find a brewery in Japan that is so kind of experimental, because usually when it comes to the sake brewing and things like that, the Japanese are very, very traditional and like to keep things the same for a long time. It takes a very long time in Japan to actually have any kind of change done in companies and stuff like this. So to find a little company like this that is so pioneering is really quite cool. But really looking forward to this one. It's a new hop that I've never encountered before, and yeah, I think it'll be very, very interesting to try. So as always, I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Ise Kadoya before. No doubt I will review some more in the near future. I do have one more bottle of their stuff to review for you while I'm here in Japan, and beyond that I'm not quite sure when my next review will be. But there's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Japanese beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, on to my brewery notes then about Ise Kadoya. So as I mentioned to you earlier, Ise Kadoya are from Ise City in Mie Prefecture in the Kansai region of Japan, and this city is dubbed the holy city of the Shinto religion, and it's home to over 200 different Shinto shrines, and notably the one that really is notable is the Ise Grand Shrine, which is, I think, you know, the main one when it comes to the Shinto religion. But the city apparently gets around 5 million visitors per year, but it's actually a relatively small town of only 130,000 people. So this brewery itself was founded back in 1997 and is owned by Narahiro Suzuki, who previously studied microbiology at university, and he runs the company with his wife Chika Suzuki, who does a lot of work in the company's restaurants. But the roots of the Suzuki's family business go back to 1575, when his family started the Kadoya Cafe with the aim of selling the Kinakomachi tea to the Ise pilgrims, and the full company name is now the Nikenjayomuchi Kadoya Honten, if I've pronounced that correctly, and apparently it's one of the longest running companies that is still going in Japan today. But the brewmaster at the brewery is Masakazu Nakanishi, who joined the company back in 1997 after working an office job. He'd studied fermentation in high school during his agriculture classes, and the brewery apparently were looking for a brewer when his work contract finished, so it was really just a perfect fit. But he later became brewmaster in 1999, and another instrumental man in the brewery is Yoshihiro Matsuoka, who is the restaurant manager and also the label designer as well, and he's known as the walking beer dictionary. Apparently he has just a ridiculous knowledge of beer and different beer styles from across the world. But the brewery import various hops and malts from different places in the world. You know, as this beer would suggest, they're importing things from Australia, America, New Zealand, you know, all across Europe, Germany, France, all of this kind of thing. But they use local water from the local Miyagawa River, which is filtered through charcoal filters, and they're apparently very thorough in their quality control as well, and they've won many different awards for their beers to date as well. And the brewery own 2 restaurants. This is the Biyagura, which is their on-site restaurant at the brewery, and they also own the Ise Kadoya Kaikumaiten as well, which is another very, very good restaurant. So if you find yourself in Ise, you really should go and check them out. But these guys have a range of core beers, and they've also got various different seasonal beers. They produce cider and soy sauce, tamari, miso paste, and also kinakomachi, the coffee as well, which is really interesting, or the tea. My apologies, not coffee. But yeah, very, very interesting company, this one. And it is quite cool that one of the longest kind of running companies that you're going to find in Japan is producing something as kind of pioneering as craft beer. I think that is very, very cool indeed. So yeah, if you get the chance to try some of these Ise Kadoya beers, I really recommend that you do. Very kind of small scale. I think they're not available outside of Japan. I'd be surprised if anyone that's either not that's not been here, or if anyone has actually found these beers as an import somewhere, do let me know. I'd be very curious to see where these beers are being imported to. At most, I would guess it's somewhere like Singapore or Korea or Hong Kong, you know, somewhere along that lines where it's a high purchasing power, and sort of Asian country. I don't think you get these any further afield than that, but a very, very good brewery nonetheless, and one of the Japanese craft breweries that I really would recommend that you check out. But yeah, that's all you really need to know about Ise Kadoya just now. If you want to learn more, check out the brewery website. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram and things like that, and keep up to date with all the latest goings on. But let's get on to the actual tasting of the beer itself. So yeah, this one very kind of typical in terms of its artwork. There you can see it's got that nice kind of typical Ise Kadoya artwork on it. It looks a little bit like a beach ball, to be honest with you. But yeah, this kind of sort of design, the sort of round all design that Ise Kadoya have on this one is very typical of what you'd expect from the brewery. If you go up to this top corner here, I'm just trying to make sure you're seeing that on the camera control. That symbol here is the Ise Kadoya symbol. That's also on the bottle cap, but they also put best before date on this one. I'm reviewing this one actually just when it's gone out of date. I should point that out. This beer was a gift to me from Koji at a liquor store, Asahiya. He wanted me to try this one because he said it is really quite nice. So yeah, he kept one aside for me and gave it to me as a gift actually. So a big shout out to Koji in this review, and I'll put the link to his Facebook page as well. You can follow him on Instagram of course as well, and I do recommend that you go to his shop if you find yourself in Osaka. But yeah, this guy, as I mentioned, uses a new hop, Summer, from Australia, which is supposed to give you some kind of melon and apricot-y notes actually. I've never seen Summer used in many beers, or I've not seen it used in any beers I think so far actually. This is the first one that I'm seeing it used in. But yeah, this is an IPA coming in at a 6% ABV, and this was a summer limited edition that Ise Kadoya released. So without further ado, let's get it out and we will get on with the tasting. Very curious to see how this one turns out. But yeah, these guys have been doing various New England IPAs and stuff like this as well, and I'll tell you right away, as you open up this beer, you really can smell the different, you can smell some of these lovely melon and sort of apricot-y tropical fruit notes coming out of it. It does smell very, very nice indeed actually. So yeah, just take a little bit of time with that. But as you can see, this one's poured pretty much exactly as you would expect. It's a nice bright kind of hazy yellow. If I put my fingers behind the glass, you can see there's not much in the way of transparency there. This sort of yellow colour, usually when it comes to IPAs, it's a sort of yellow orangey colour that comes out of them. If I put my finger there, you can see there's a finger of a frothy, I would say pure white head on this one. It does have a little bit of a creamy tinge to it, but I would say it's mainly a kind of perfect white head that you're getting out of this beer. But one or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, and a few little ones heading up towards the bottom of that head there. But you know, overall it does look pretty nice, and nothing overly surprising with this one in terms of its appearance when you consider that it is an IPA. So let's take a closer look at the aroma and just see how we get on with this then. Oh, now that's interesting. You know, as I was saying, this beer will be about 6 months old now. So it's been released, you know, it's about 6 months old. It's not at its freshest, we'll be honest about that. But you can still get some of these lovely hoppy aromas out of it. I'm definitely picking up a little bit of melon in there. A lovely, you know, yeah, lovely juicy fresh melon. It's a very, very distinctive aroma, that. And another one that really reminds me of melon actually is the Styrian Wolf, which is a Slovenian hop. It's got this lovely melony quality to it, and the aroma of this hop really reminds me of that. But yeah, a little bit of a kind of peachy kind of thing coming out of it as well. Probably some apricots. I think apricot's a very good descriptor of this. It really reminds me of those little Munch Bunch yogurts that my mum used to give me in my lunchbox when I was young. I don't know how many, I think very few Japanese people will recognise that descriptor, of course. I think even most Americans and things like that wouldn't recognise that. But if you're watching from Europe and the UK, these little Muller Munch Bunch yogurts, their apricot one, some of the notes coming out of this beer really remind me of that. But yeah, lovely mix of melon and tropical fruits in this one. One thing I should say about this summer hop, it's an Australian hop, and it's a descendant of the Sats hop, the Czech Sats hop. It's sometimes known as summer Sats, and I think that's where it gets its name from, right enough. But yeah, lovely big melony notes. It has got an element of noble hop quality to it as well. It's got a little bit of that typical floral, kind of grassy thing to it. It's got a little bit of a slightly spicy floral aromaticity as well, and a little bit of that kind of typical slightly sweet earthiness. The hoppy notes in this beer are giving off some really interesting things. But the malt base, a little bit bready, definitely a little bit of that kind of white bready note in there, some biscuity sweetness, maybe a little touch of caramel or something like that. But yeah, it does smell like a really nice beer, and it's got everything you would expect from an IPA as well. So I'm very, very curious about this one. I always enjoy trying beers that have got new hops in them that I've never ever tried before. So let's have a taste of this one then. So this one is the Summer Beach IPA at 6% ABV from Ise Kadoya in Ise in Mie Prefecture here in Japan. Thank you again to Koji at Liquor Shop Asahiya for supplying me with this beer. It was a gift, as I said, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this review so far. Let's get stuck in. Slanje, Skull, Kampai. Oh yeah. Now, I'll tell you right away, for a beer that's been in the bottle about 6 months, this is held up very, very well. And that's really good. Koji's obviously looked after this beer properly, to be honest. He's obviously kept it in the dark and kept it at the right temperature and things, because this is held up very, very well. And as I said, we will take into account with this review and the fact that this beer is not at its freshest, but for 6 months old, this is held up very, very well. And that, you know, it says a lot about how Ise Kadoya are actually doing their things. Their quality control is quite obviously working. And not just working well, I should say. But yeah, this is a really interesting one. The melon flavours. Whenever I review a beer that has a hop in it that I don't know, I always kind of like to read about it a little bit and just say, you know, and just think, right, this is what I should get from this hop, and then I see in the video what I actually get. But the descriptors that I read about this one are pretty much kind of bang on. The melon flavours in this beer are very, very obvious, but we'll come back to the fruity notes in a minute. So let's deal with the malt base and the kind of the other parts of the hops first off. So yeah, I'll say in terms of style, this beer is quite definitely a West Coast IPA rather than a New England IPA. It's not a hazy IPA by any stretch of the imagination. So in the middle of your palate you can feel there's this nice kind of pale malty quality that just blankets the middle of your palate. It gives you that nice sort of white bread malty base on this one. On top of that, there is a little touch of a slightly grainy note to the beer. There's a little tiny bit of a wheaty smoothness in there, but in the centre of the palate you've got a nice little touch of caramel. It's quite small actually, it's not the biggest sweetness you're going to get from that, but as you go further out from the centre of your palate it becomes gradually more biscuity, and it really reminds me of the little, you know, it really reminds me of these, you know, the McVitie's digestive biscuits that I always talk about. This beer does have a nice element of that kind of biscuity malt base, so it's a very typical kind of West Coast IPA malt base, and this beer, in terms of its malt base, does retain that typical Japanese drinkability that I always talk about with these beers. It's just it's just very, very nicely done. It's a very nicely balanced malt base, and I always remember these Ise Kadoya beers being very, very balanced, and this one is certainly no exception to that rule. When you come further forward on the palate on this one, in the centre of your tongue where these malty flavours are going to come about, it does get just a little touch more grainy. There's maybe even an element of a slightly woody character to this one, but overall, as I mentioned, the malt base is very well balanced. So yeah, nothing kind of unusual about the malty characteristics in this beer. So yeah, on the hoppy side of things, back corners of the palate, you've got a nice little bit of earthiness there. It's quite a typical kind of noble hop earthiness, I would say. There's nothing, again, overly surprising about that. When this summer hop is descended from the Czech Sats, it's obviously going to have a little bit of that noble hop quality to it, and that shows in the beer. So yeah, a little bit of that earthiness in the back corner of the palate. That smooths out a lot as you come further forward towards the front of the tongue. You've got a nice little bit of a slightly, it's almost a little bit spicy actually. You've just got a little bit of that floral aromaticity towards the front corners of the palate, then round the very front curve of the tongue. You've got that nice light kind of noble grassy quality that you would expect of this sort of beer. It works very, very well. This beer almost has a little bit of the freshness and the drinkability that you'd expect of some of these German Helles and things like that, but it does have that slightly more hoppy bite that you would expect of the American IPAs. And again, that's the sort of Japanese element coming into it. It does have that typical Japanese drinkability, but when you go behind the front curve of the palate, that's where you get that nice oily bubble where those juicy fruity esters start to come out of the beer. And again, this one has some really interesting notes to it. The melons come out straight away. You've got a little bit of an apricot-y kind of peach thing going there, but I'm really finding that there's a little touch of something darker in there. It's not quite grapefruit, it might be a little bit of passion fruit or something like that, but you can feel that forming the kind of backbone of the fruity side of the beer. But it's the melons that are the most kind of prominent flavour in this one. There's a little bit of an apricot-y mango kind of thing to this one. Maybe even a little bit of peach in there, but the melons are the things that are really going further and further into the aftertaste and lingering in this beer. It's really nice to see how that goes together. I'd love to try a kind of single hop beer with this one, although I guess this is actually a single hop IPA, but it works very, very well. I'd love to try something that's just a little bit fresher than this to see how exactly it comes across. But in terms of an IPA, this one is very, very nice, and at 6 months old, it's holding up pretty damn well, I have to say. So big thumbs up to Ise Kadoya for this beer. You know, I'm not surprised that these guys have put something out there that's so solid, and they seem to be getting more and more experimental when it comes to these IPA styles these days. They've been doing a lot of the different New England IPAs and stuff like this, so if you're interested in that style of beer, Ise Kadoya is one of the ones that you really, really want to try. So yeah, just a lovely beer, this one. I mean, have a go at it for yourself and just see what you think. It's got that typical Japanese drinkability to it, but it has that nice hoppy and fruity kick that you would expect of the American West Coast IPAs. I'm 100% sure on this one that it's more of a West Coast IPA than a New England IPA. So yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel then, mid-bodied beer, carbonation's very smooth. The mouthfeel overall, it's well balanced between wet and oily, mainly leaning a little bit more towards the oily side of things. Good little bit of hoppy bitterness. I would guess it's somewhere around the kind of 40, maybe 50 IBUs mark. I'd be surprised if it's more than that. Nice bit of sweetness from the malt base as well. There's a little touch of grainy quality in there. Nice little bit of juicy fruits as well. And overall, as I said, it has everything you would want from a West Coast IPA. It's just another very, very solid beer, and that's what I've learned that you can come to expect from Ise Kadoya. So check out these beers if you get the chance, and I'm sure you won't be disappointed. They're very, very good with IPAs, both New England style I've heard, and also this kind of West Coast style, which is a bit older. So have a go at some of them for yourself and just see what you think. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. So this one was the Ise Kadoya Summer Beach, an IPA at 6% ABV from Ise Kadoya in Ise Prefecture here in Japan. These guys are definitely one of the kind of IPA breweries that you want to check out over here. You're not going to be disappointed with anything that these guys put out, and they are experimenting a little bit with different styles as well. They're probably one of the more experimental craft breweries that you're going to find in Japan. So yeah, have a go at some of their beers and I'm sure you won't be disappointed. And I'm really curious to try a few more things that have this summer hop in it as well, because I really like the Styrian Wolf, and this one is another hop that really kind of strikes me at the moment as well. So hopefully this isn't the last to hear of that nice summer hop from Australia. So yeah, once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts in the comment section below on this beer. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Ise Kadoya as well. You will see another review from these guys before I leave Japan, but yeah, I'm sure I'll return to these guys at some point in the near future, and I hope that I can try some more beers with this summer hop in it, and make sure you try some of these for yourself too. So thank you again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. Make sure you check out my social media and have a go at some of these Ise Kadoya beers for yourself. Until the next time, stand just now, I'll catch you guys very soon. Skål and Kampai.